Good morning. Hi, George. I just went for a quick wee before we started. I just slammed my finger in the door. My pinky finger. Oh. I'll be fine. Oh, it's like throbbing. Have you ever done that? Just on accident. Okay, so today we're going to do this one here. That's my finger. Oh. I'm fine. I just slammed my finger in the door, so I was trying not to shed a wee tear. Yeah, so today we're going to do this one here. And of course, we could just do a regular satin stitch, but we're going to mix it up a bit. So we're going to do a split stitch here, and we're going to do a little bit of blending. So if blending's not for you and you're not interested in that at all, then you can just fill each petal with split stitch, and that's fine. I'm going to go for these three colors. So like a dark blue in the middle, and then this light blue towards the end. And we'll do 3 strands for the first bit. And then for this dark blue, we'll do like 1 or 2 just to kind of like give it a little burst, you know, just to kind of make it darker. The other color I was going to do was this nice, it's like an orange, but it's like a burnt umber kind of orange. But I thought the blue would really like bring it up a little bit. So I'll save those for a different day and stick with my blues. So with the split stitch, each stitch that you do is going to go into another stitch and split it. That's why it's called the split stitch. It's like groundbreaking stuff here, guys. All right, so along with doing the split stitch, we're also going to follow the curve of each of these petals. So let me zoom in. Oh my gosh, I wish this would stop like hurting so much. And I'm just gonna draw a little like guide of where to put the colors to, and then we can blend them a little bit after, you know? So we'll go just like about to there for the light color, and then just about to there for the medium color. But obviously, to blend them, we're not going to go straight to this line. We're going to go more like this. Okay? So again, if you're not interested in blending, you do not have to. The actual stitch is exactly the same. It's just the split stitch. So I'm going to start at the very point. I'm using 3 strands. 3. And what we're going to do for filling this in is we're going to make some of our stitches longer and some of our stitches shorter. So sometimes people will call this like the long and short split stitch. Excuse me. We just want to make sure that none of them stop at the same point. So they're going to be like a jagged edge. Now what I like to do is kind of go around the outside edge first. Notice none of these here so far have been split into anything else. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just because I feel like you should see it a little bit better. Good morning, Veronica. Okay, so we've gone a couple rows, but we didn't actually do any rows. We only did 1 row. So we've gone one row at the top kind of, and we've kind of just put a couple stitches going like down a little bit to just fill up that tip of the shape. Now all of these here are going to go into those stitches. So there's two ways that you can do that. The first one is to come up in front of the stitch and go into that stitch. So if you see, I'm going into the stitch. Just right. It doesn't have to be in the middle. It can be like right on the edge or whatever. So you come down below and you split it. So every stitch will be split. The other way is to come up through the stitch here and work your way down. Yeah, so I've done one side. Let me just go back up here to the top and do the other. So I've only got 3 strands. Obviously, if you use more strands, then your stitches are going to be thicker and wider and bigger. If you use less strands, like 2 or 1, then you'll get a really, really, really nice blend. But this is kind of like a nice, easy way to just like give it a go, just to try. And all we're making sure is that every single stitch is split, which means we're putting a stitch into every single stitch. So there should be no stitches that are just a plain stitch. Okay, and I'm just going to do a couple a little bit longer so that these can be blended with my medium blue. Okay, so I'm going to do a knot on the back, flip it over. Obviously, you can do all of the light colors first, and then go back and do all of the medium colors, and then all of the dark colors. Or you can just continue with the same color all the way to the middle, and that's fine. You don't have to do any kind of blending. You don't have to choose 2 colors, anything like that. I know some people have done all of the stitch-alongs, and so they might decide to do something a little bit different. That's okay. Or even if this is your first one and you're like, I fancy doing that, sure, why not? Give it a go. You should. Just try. I also wanted to talk really quickly about needles today. So I was talking with Melanie earlier, and she was saying that she was doing the satin stitch, the padded satin stitch. It was killing her fingers. And we were having a little chat about it, and I suggested maybe doing a thicker needle shaft. Every time I do it, every time I say it, it sounds dirty, and I just don't know I don't know what else it would be called, because that's pretty much what it is. So this right here is a thinner one than what I normally use. Do you see? The one that I normally use is like this. So because I have less strands, I want to use a thinner needle, not necessarily in the eye department. I mean, they are thinner, smaller, I mean. Let me just get the eyes together. Yeah, they are smaller. But what you're looking for with your needles is that not only do they help guide the thread through, but you're making a hole for that thread to go through. So if you're using all 6 strands, you do not want to use a needle where the shaft of the needle is really, really thin. You want to try and match it up with the amount of strands that you're using. So I've got 3 strands, and I've got a skinnier needle. So keep that in mind if you find that you're like having a hard time with stitching a certain thing, or with, you know, X amount of strands or whatever. Because it might just be that you need to make a different needle choice. So here we're just picking up where we left off. I've got a medium color thread, and I'm just trying to make these here just jagged. So I guess this would be like the long and short split stitch, I guess. Melanie says it helped a lot. And like, I've got a favorite needle. I think most of you know that already. And I lost it last year on our float boat when we were going around, and I was stitching on the float boat, and I was stitching on some hats for my brother's wedding and completely lost it. I don't know what happened. And I was really upset that maybe the dogs were going to step on it and we were going to have to, you know, take them to the emergency room or something because they had like a needle in their skin or something like that. Oh my gosh, I was freaking out. But also, it's like my favorite needle. That's the only needle I've ever used. So that's why I can't really tell you what my needle is, because it's another antique needle. I got it in an antique sewing box. But even if you have a favorite needle, you will have to change depending on the number of strands that you have. So if I were to put one strand, oh, do I have one right there? Come on. If I were to put one strand through this really big needle, look how much room there is. And look how thick that needle shaft is compared to the actual thread. So you're gonna make a really big hole for something that doesn't need a big hole. So your thread's gonna be swimming in there. So always just have a little think about that. So I've got a couple quote unquote favorite needles. So I've got one for one strand. I've got one for 2 or 3 strands, which is this one. And then I've got one for 6 strands. Okay, so I've done, all of the stitches for the medium blue, all of the plain stitches. So now I'm going to go back and split all of them. If you want to just do the 2 colors, then of course you can. It normally goes faster than this because normally I'm not talking as much about needles and such. Now, if you have some at the end that aren't split and they look okay, then just leave it. But if you have some at the end that aren't split and they look very much like, oh my goodness, I can see all of those plain stitches, then you can always do a little half stitch and split those as well. And that's where you go through the same hole like this and then just split them. I might put the paint on there again so that you can see. Because I have a feeling that the dark colors aren't showing up very well. Do you know what? I didn't turn the light on either, so maybe that's it. Oh, Jessie. I'll go turn the light on. What's the matter, babe? Did you see somebody? Did you see somebody? It's the neighbors going into their car. Calm down. Our neighbor is getting into their car, and apparently she did not like that. She was sleeping anyways, so. Okay, so there we go with that. There's 2 colors. If you really would like to do 3 colors, obviously you can. I'll probably do some little strands. just to make it really nice and dark in there. So if you're only doing one color, just continue with your split stitch all the way down. Your goal is to fill the space and split the stitches. That's basically it. It's not really a complicated stitch at all, but I do know that some people get quite angsty when they do the stitch because they aren't sure where to put the stitches, you know, because in the beginning you are just putting them, you just start and fill the space. So I know, like I said, some people get a little bit like, okay, but where do I put the next ones? Or like, well, what do I do with the next bit? Or like, you know, how do you figure out where to put, how long do you put the first stitch? Doesn't matter. As long as all of them are split, that's fine. This thread does not want to separate. Come on. You can do it. Loving these autumn colors. Yes, me too. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like because we didn't really get a very hot summer here. I mean, like to me, it wasn't hot. Maybe to other people like living in England, they thought it was hot. But for me, normally spending my summers in Ohio and Michigan where it gets more, like really hot, it was not hot here. I feel like I'm ready, you know? Someone's just commented, but it's in a language that I don't know. So normally I can kind of figure out Spanish or even Italian sometimes, but I don't know that one. I'm so sorry. So with the darkest color, I was just going to ask that, Carrie, are you guys getting like a little bit warmer weather now? Because she's in Australia. So with the darkest color, I'm just going to go and put some stitches in here, just in the center. Ooh, saw it. Our winter is England's summer. I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, so you guys just had your like quote unquote winter there. And they're going into spring and summer. Oh, I bet that's so nice. Carrie says, I'll send you a picture from my garden later. New life is popping up. I bet that's so nice. Okay, so all I've done is put a couple straight stitches with my darkest color, and then you kind of see the transition a little bit better. Now, because I used 3 strands for all of this, it's not going to be a flawless blend together. You can definitely see, you know, up there is light blue, down there is dark blue. So it doesn't have to be, you know, perfect for every single one of them. All right, so now I've showed how to do it. If you would like to dip out and go on your little merry way, then of course you can. I'm gonna get my light blue back and stitch all of the tips. Man, my finger is still throbbing. I just cannot believe I did that. Oh, clumsy, clumsy. I guess I'm doing my nails today because one of them broke off in the middle. So there we go. Maybe I'll do some autumnal colored nails and then they'll match my autumnal colored hoop. Now, if you have to make the line on there to know how far down to go, then of course you can, like that's totally fine. Melanie says, I love how it looks. This is going to be another one that takes a bit of time. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow we're going to do a really simple for the middle of our, there we go, there we are, of our wagon wheels. We're not going to do the wagon wheels. We're just going to do some details in the middle around this little donut line. And then you'll have the rest of the weekend to kind of finish this flower. And if you want to blend it, then you can. And if not, then that's okay too. But even with the split stitch like this, it will take a little bit of time. So I've done pretty much 20 minutes on one leaf. Granted, I was talking a lot of the time. So there's that. But if you do just one color, it will go faster because you don't have to, change colors or anything like that. And I always like to go down a little bit farther than I think I should, just because then you have some room, some space. To blend a little bit, and you don't have to get the other color back out, which is always really annoying to me. Like, when you just need a little bit more of one color and you're like, oh, I wish I would have just done a little bit more. Also, you might have to redo some of the petals. So some of these ones I traced a little bit thin. This one, and that one. You might have to make them a little bit wider towards the base, but I might have just traced them wonky. That might have just been a me thing and not a pattern thing. So just see if they're a nice shape or if they're a little bit thin. Because you really want them to look like lush, I feel like I should do one more stitch here on the edge. Okay. Elizabeth says, love the color graduations of each petal. Yeah, so that's something that you can do if you want to, and if you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. And I know I keep stressing this, but I find that give it a go. Okay, but if it's stressing you out, then that's not how it's meant to be. There's a difference between this is a new technique and I'm learning it, and therefore I'm feeling a little frustrated because I don't know how to do it yet. Does that make sense? And there's a difference between that and feeling, anxiety and apprehension and feeling like, oh my gosh, this is just not working. There's definitely a difference, and you'll know it when you feel it. Absolutely. So if you find yourself being like, okay, I know this is going to be a little bit difficult because I've never done it before and I'm just going to give it a go, then try. But if you feel yourself doing it and literally feeling like, like super negative feelings, then stop. Just do them all one color, and you can always do a straight stitch little one of these dudes. Boom, boom, boom in the middle. It will be as effective as this is. you know? It'll just look a little bit different. So you could always do like a little sunburst. That's what it is. Coming out instead of actually blending them. And I always feel like you should feel a little bit of like a nervous excitement, you know, when you're trying something new and like stitching new things. And thank you, Hannah. She says those colors work beautifully together. Yeah, I was going to do the oranges, but I thought, you know what, I think we need a blue moment in here. Just going to do a wee bit more so that I can show you how to go over these, because it's going to be very similar to how we did these ones. Again, straight down. And decide how long you want them to be. So obviously you could poke it behind there and it can just go behind the basket and job done. If you want it to go over the basket, then straight down. You missed my comment. Oh, where? I was probably talking too much. I'll send a pic from my garden later. New life popping up. I said that. Loving these autumn colors. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Carrie. I do try and keep my eye on the screen, and sometimes I'll find myself stitching through the screen. like not looking at here, but instead looking up in the camera to stitch. Because I don't want to miss them. I'm sorry. And Elizabeth says, I love the blue gray next to the autumn colors of the other flowers. She says TikTok comment. Oh, I didn't see any TikTok comment. I just scrolled up. I didn't see anything about a TikTok comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Send it again, can you? I was saying you should get TikTok because business pages are booming on there. Oh. I do have a TikTok though. I've just only posted like 2 videos on it. Because like over the summer when I was thinking about like doing some like little videos for there and stuff, then Instagram came out with the reels and I was like, oh, should I just do the reels instead? So that one's a little short, but I think I'm going to go with it for now and see how it looks. And if I need to go back like this one and add a little bit of stuff, then I will. Add a couple more. It's really hard to gauge how far out to put them. Maybe I'll check it out. I haven't really done much on TikTok. Like I said, I think I've only done like 2 videos. And they were all like last year. I'm just not good at it. She says, do TikTok. There's a whole new lot of people. Yeah, it's always hard to like start a new platform like from zero. And like get new followers and new business and stuff like that. Like people were saying for me to do a Patreon ages ago. I don't know if I was telling you guys this before, but I was really thinking about doing it because then I could do all the stitch-alongs on there. And it would be like just for you guys. But ultimately I was like, oh, it's hard. It's hard to start a new platform. I do feel like these petals are a little bit short for my liking, so I'll probably end up going back and doing, just making them a little bit longer. And if you would like to make them a little bit longer, you can just do exactly the same thing that we've done, but just make this tip longer. And then we'll just blend these out here, and it will be fine. On what? On Patreon? What I was talking about, Patreon? Or on TikTok, like Carrie's talking about, Melissa. Carrie says, I'll send you a page that has good tips. Thank you. Yeah, that looks way better already. I feel like it's really like extended the petal out. And then now we're just making it a little bit more round at the tip, so it's not like boom. But yeah, in the end, I decided to not do Patreon just because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like people like to see them on here. Having a little chat and everything is like quite nice. Oops, just poked myself. Plus, at the moment, like you pay for this stitch along, you know, and you get all the videos. Where like as with Patreon, like you pay like per month and like pledge. So I'd have to make like monthly things. So maybe not a stitch along every month, but like I'd have to have like something to give people every month. Like a pattern or a kit or stickers or something like that. Or I could just do that here. I don't know, there's pros and cons to everything. Behind the scenes videos, yes. True, but there's a whole market on TikTok and it's easy to use. She can use Instagram clips to make TikTok videos. Yeah? I feel like there's always like a pro and con to all of the things, you know? Like you have to think, it like, do you have time to do it? And like, it's just a little daunting. I think with anything though, the more you get into it, the more like easily it comes by. Yeah, Melissa. So she says some people may not be able to afford Patreon. Yeah, so that's always a thing as well. Like, you really have to make it worth it for people with like the like incentives, you know? Otherwise, it's a bit like you're just paying for nothing. Carrie says you should totally turn your hoops into stickers. People are loving stickers. I do have some ideas for that. So you just wait. And Elizabeth says also how much mental capacity you have. Yeah, absolutely. Like there's so much to think about, like with running a business. It's a lot sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. It's a lot. I've just hit this freaking hoop stand. I'm getting a new one. A new phone stand thing. But I just need to do it because I keep hitting it and then you guys are going to like have some kind of like whiplash by the time I'm done. Just real quick, because I'm just going to end it now because it's already at almost 40 minutes. The other way that you can do this really seamlessly is to use a variegated thread. So I've got a couple here that I bought just for like shits and giggles, you know? So this one I thought was really pretty because it goes to a really dark color and a really light color. This is just a nice autumny, like almost like a nice brown to a really nice light yellow. And then this one right here is just like a dark red moment with all of those colors. So what you can do, oh, I had one just right here. I'll use one from the thing. So what you can do is when you look at your variegated thread, if you have one, because this is kind of a cheat for this, is open your thread, and find the darkest part here. Yeah. So this here is the darkest, and then it goes all the way to this light color at the tip. So you cut it here, and you use this part here for the dark part, and this part here for the light part. So it will gradually get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until you get to the tip. So there's like a little hack. If you don't have 3 colors that go nicely together, like I used these 3 blues, if you don't have that, but you do have a variegated thread that would work, you could always just do that and then don't change colors. Yeah, you just use the same color, the same piece of thread, and it will just gradually go from the lightest to the darkest on your leaf. So on your petal. So you might have to direct it a little bit. You might have to do like all of the dark and then go back and do all of the middle, depending on when you run out of that color thread, you know, because it will change. So there's a little top tip that nobody asked for, but I've done it this way before and it is really cute. So there's another way to do it if you just really would like to have this effect but don't necessarily want, you know, to change the colors all the time, or you don't have those 3 colors to use. So I will leave it at that. Hope you have a lovely Thursday. I think I need to do my nails before tomorrow. And I will talk with you tomorrow. All right. Ooh, on the blending stitching, I usually do all my long stitches and go back and do short stitches. Of course, you can do it that way as well. Of course you can. All we're doing is making sure that they're all split. So we're not putting them next to each other. We're splitting them every time. So don't forget to tag me at the Barmy Fox with the line underneath of it and your stories, and use the hashtag #TheBarmyFox, SAL. All right, I'll talk with you tomorrow. Bye.